Welcome again, Ahmed. Thanks for joining my channel again. This time about taxation careers. Basically, audit is one of the popular fields. A lot of people try to get to audit and then find a career abroad in European countries, Middle East, etc. But taxation is not that tapped market right now. Less people try to opt. And in this video, we really try to understand, why tax can be a good career choice. And of course, you're no one right now doing a tax job. So I'll hand it over to you. Just probably give us brief overview of why you made the taxation career choice, and are you happy with that?
Thank you so much for inviting me again, and it's always a pleasure talking to you and sharing insights with you. You have asked very right question, which is very close to my heart. So, if I see if I on even on LinkedIn or social media or wherever I'm talking, so I think I one of the prominent advocates of pursuing career in taxation, because see, traditionally what happened is that especially in our field, chartered accountancy, ACCA, CA, ICMA. So people try to opt for audit. So when I was in Pakistan, so we used to have career induction after uh, CA induction after every 6 months. So whenever I was interviewing or I was looking at someone who was giving the interview to at our firm, so they always wanted to pursue a career in auditing. So taxation is, you are right that it's not a tabbed field in especially in Asia and obviously in Middle East. In Middle East, it is all actually a new thing because if you see that taxation is recently introduced in UE, which is going to be a financial hub of the world. So first of all, we need to understand that what type of taxations exist in GCC, and we can talk about the carriers there. So currently, the only taxation which is implemented in throughout the GCC is corporate taxation. So there are two types of taxation. The first one is corporate personal taxation, and the second one is corporate taxation. So currently, in whole of the GCC, corporate taxation is fully implemented except one country. So if you talk about Saudi, Oman, then UAE, so corporate taxation is everywhere. Personal taxation, it is not implemented in GCC. That is one of the reason that people are coming to GCC because whatever they are earning here, they're getting the 100% of it because the state is not deducting personal income tax on that. So if we see the career path here, so currently international taxes. So if you have a little understanding of international taxation in terms of BEPS initiatives by the OECD, which is Pillar One and Pillar Two. So recently, in whole of the GCC except Saudi, Pillar Two is implemented, is actually introduced. So there are going to be vacancies. There are going to be a very high demand of taxation professionals in GCC. If I talk about the percentage hiring between audit and taxation, so previously it was used to be maybe 95 or 96% of the hiring was done in audit departments and 4 or 5% of the hiring was done in tax department. But now this paradigm is shifting because the audit firms, they are trying to cut their cost, and they're trying to outsource their work to the back offices in developing countries, and they're hiring more professionals from those countries for to be physically present here in taxation department. So now this shift of career, this career shift, this is going to be, so taxation career is growing like this while audit career is going like this. So there is a now a shift is coming from audit hiring to taxation hiring. Just one thing I wanted to share. To be very honest, in Pakistan, I have seen that taxation professionals are much more paid than audit professionals.
I really want to touch on this point, right? Money drives the career eventually. The reason of doing the audit eventually in the mind of people at the start is, we do audit in a big firm like Big Four and get abroad, right? That's one of the basic reasons because it's easy
Correct.
route. But taxation does offer money. I have seen a lot of individuals really earning handsome money. So I guess the next question really is, you chose tax, right? And now what do you feel like from your own perspective, how tax professionals earn better money, or what does it even look like? Because if a new person, like, if I am somebody, I have the induction right now. I know people who are just doing the audit and they are settled abroad. Like most of the people you see on LinkedIn, audit jobs out there, and people obviously abroad. But what about taxation and the earning potential within the country
So
itself, and then of course abroad?
okay, so whenever someone comes to me, because I usually conduct sessions with the new students who are either pursuing their who want to come in this profession, or who are actually looking to choose between audit and taxation. So the only question I ask them is, what are their future plans? So if, for example, they want to move quickly abroad right after their articles, and they want to have a more quicker mobility throughout the world, and they want to settle abroad, especially in Europe. So, so I ask them to. I always recommend them to pursue audit in that case, because see, taxation is a more sort of a jurisdictional thing. So, if jurisdictional means that each country has its own taxation laws. So, for example, taxation laws, the laws of Pakistan are not the one which are in GCC, and not the one which are in UK or US. So, if but in contrast, if you see the audit profession, so the audit standards which are in Pakistan are similar to what are in GCCs and what are in Europe. So that's why the mobility in taxation is limited as compared to audit. You're absolutely right in that sense, that if you are pursuing an audit career, you can easily move from Pakistan to abroad, especially in GCC, and then to Europe. So that's the first thing, that it all depends on the person, what are his actual future plans. So if he wants to pursue if he wants to move abroad, so then audit is obviously, he needs to get experience in the audit in order to quickly move abroad. I would not say that mobility is not possible in tax, but it is very limited. So, and it actually requires some time in moving from Pakistan to abroad, especially in tax. If you talk about, the second question was about money. So if you talk about the salaries or the earnings of tax professionals versus auditor advisory professionals, so in my experience, taxation professionals are paid more, especially in Pakistan and abroad. And I can tell you the reason of this, because see, the audit assignments are not of that much high budget, and for audit, they require a lot of human resource, and lot of payroll cost is involved in audit assignments. So the net profit margin in audit assignments is relatively low than the tax assignments. So tax is more sort of an advisory thing, where you can earn much more than the actual time you spent on that. So that's the reason that the profit margin of the audit firms in the tax advisory is actually much more than audit assignments. So they pay actually more in to tax professionals than audit professionals. I can to be very precise, I can tell you that when I was working in Pakistan, uh, the pay scale was, there was a difference of 10 to 20% in what is paid to the tax professionals, tax managers, assistant managers, or partners, in contrast to the audit professionals. Likewise, if we talk about abroad, especially in GCC, here the the comparison is same. So here the tax professionals is, or if I can tell you about my own firm, so here the tax department is actually paid more than audit department, and the reason is that the profitability in tax is actually more due to due to high profit margin and low cost as compared to audit. And I, as I told you, that if there is a good tax professional in Pakistan, then he has a lot of high earning potentials in Pakistan, if he correctly knows about the income tax, compliance, and sales tax.
Kind of makes sense. I guess audit
Yeah,
worldwide has a less reputation in terms of the salaries.
correct, correct. Correct.
Consider
That's the reason that firms are actually moving from physical hiring to remote hirings. They are setting up back offices in Pakistan, developing countries like Pakistan, India, Jordan, Lebanon, etc. In these countries, in order to save their costs. Because now the audit, and the other thing is that the audit is actually much more over regulated, especially in Pakistan. So the more it is over regulated and complex, the less the firms are, especially the audit firms, are taking the audit assignments.
it's over-regulated everywhere in the world, to be honest. Like more and more regulations are
Correct.
coming in the audit because
Correct.
it's
Yeah.
important as well. But at the same time, things happen every year.
Correct.
There's a different discussion. I guess the even one thing probably to highlight. I guess we haven't touched is taxation. It's easier to do your own work as your own setup than audit. Audit is not a field where you can just go and start
Correct.
and start signing audit reports. Taxation
Correct.
is easier to advise on individual matters as well as to small
Correct.
companies as well. So there's huge earning potential. But as you say,
Correct.
it goes down to country. One country laws don't work for the country, and you have to stick with that. One thing I did thought about the taxation versus audit. When I talk to people, is taxation is good, of course, but if you think of UK. The experience we get in our country is not that good, that extensive or diverse that you are competing with other people. For example, somebody who's based in UK or somebody who's applying from maybe India because they got a bigger market. For Pakistan professional in any field other than audit, it's hard to compete against other people because we don't have the big market really to get
Correct.
experience. Audit is a different thing because you have the similar standards across the board really. So it's easier to compete with anybody in the same
Correct.
any country, but it goes different for tax. So I advise you anything else.
So you are absolutely right that we have seen that in the GCC. If you see most of the audit firms in Big Four, the audit in Big Four in GCC, the most of the audit partners are either based in Pakistan or they are Pakistani nationals based in other countries. So uh, and if you see I can tell you about here in Oman. So in Oman, biggest department here is an audit department, and I can if I quickly recall, there are just three or four Indian professionals working there. Rest of the team, including partners, there are two, three directors, senior managers, then assistant. All of them are Pakistani, and the reason is that Pakistanis are have a very good knowledge about IFRS, about ISAs, and uh, throughout the GCC, the Pakistanis have dominated the audit market. In contrast to that, if you see taxation in Oman or other GCC countries, you can rarely find Pakistanis in taxation department. So in KPMG, I can tell you that I'm the only Pakistani working in the corporate tax department here in KPMG Oman. There is no Pakistani working in corporate tax department in Deloitte. There is no Pakistani working in EY. There is one Pakistani working in PwC. Rest all the partners, all the directors, all the managers, all the team members are India based, and the reason is that we do not have that much exposure because the only reason is that if you bifurcate the work of taxation, it includes the compliance side, it includes the advisory side, it includes the litigation side. So litigation and compliance is rarely is comparatively very simple here in Oman, if in contrast to what is in Pakistan. But if you see the advisory side, that is actually very technical, and it all comes from the MNCs. If you see in Pakistan, there are rare MNCs, and there is a very limited international tax involvement there. So, but if you compare it with India, which is obviously a 8 times bigger country than us, so it has a lot of MNCs there. So that's why they have a very good and extensive experience in taxation.
Yeah, it's quite across everywhere.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
India,
yeah, everywhere. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Except because India gets a bit defeated in audit side because
correct,
we have their
correct,
own Indian accounting standards, and but in other
correct,
sides, I think they're quite strong general
correct.
work experience. But
Yeah.
generally, I think that's pretty much we want to really cover on taxation
Yeah,
really.
yeah. One more thing I wanted to add is that in Pakistan there is one income tax ordinance. There are four states only, means that four provincial laws and one or two federal laws. But in India, you can see that there is a one state and lots of provinces, maybe 30 plus provinces are there. So 30 plus tax laws you have to deal with. So likewise, there are some certain qualifications which are specific to tax, which are for India, which are for UK, which are for US, but not for Pakistan. So there is a very limited knowledge of taxes available in Pakistan, and people which are working in tax uh, are more from law background rather than from accountancy background. And lawyers generally they do not prefer to move abroad, or they do not have that much professional values as compared to audit professionals which are working in Big Four. So that's actually one of the reason that Pakistani market is more oriented towards audit professionals rather than tax professionals. And also one thing that in taxation here in Pakistan, I remember that I was handling around 20 companies clients, and I was looking after their corporate taxation, income taxation, corporate taxation, and sales tax. But if you see in India, there is a separate service lines for each of them. Sales tax is a separate service line, corporate tax is a separate service line, income tax is a separate service line. So there are a specialization in India, but if you see in Pakistan, one person is doing all the tax there. So that's actually the issue from where the competence is coming from.
No, no, definitely.
Correct.
There are some subtle differences across the board, but no, I think that's helpful for anybody who
Yeah.
for a career and issue for career. Thank you again for joining today. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for inviting. See you inshallah soon on my YouTube channel.